The magic is, because it's not all about being locked in and tight and perfect. It's about the moment. And I've always wanted to write songs, is when I start playing, I stumble upon something and I go, oh, that sounds cool. And then instead of working on just keeping that flow, I automatically go into songwriter mode. Like, I wonder if this can be used for something. And so it's something like that, just to make life a little more interesting with the pentatonic scale.
That reminds me of the head cutting duel on Crossroads. You ever see that movie with Ralph Macchio and Steve Vai?
Yeah, Steve Vai. What's that? Because it's got that. What is that part?
That exactly.
Something
it's like a Mozart.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things like that where, not intentionally, because I've never been like really a neoclassical type player or anything, but there is something, like on the new album, I've got something, it does something like that, and then like a, oop. Here, I'll play that over. And then when the, yeah. So kind of, there's a part in the middle. It's so like it, I can sit here and explain it, but that does something that sounds like ridiculously classical, and it's not. I don't know where these things come from, but I think it was Michael Jackson said, if you're writing a song, get out of the way of the song.
Exactly.
And it makes so much sense. It's like, oh, something cool is coming. Stop trying to shape it into something like really, unless I guess if you're writing hits for country artists or something, which no judgment, that's very cool. But I just mean, like, if you're trying to do something really creative, let it happen. And, which often people ask why my songs are so short. It's like, because I just don't really feel like I'm not Rush, I'm not trying to do anything long and progressive. I like to get to the point and say what needs to be said, I guess.
Yeah, when you hear back some of the old songs from the 70s, some of them are great, but some of them just go on and on forever. Yeah. Freebird, Leonard Skinner. Man, if I was producing that, I would have cut it 2 minutes before it ends.
What are you guys doing? Yeah, I mean, there are some, like Black Juju from Alice Cooper or Stairway to Heaven, where they go somewhere. Like there's
long for a reason.
Yeah, like they actually have something going on. They're not just dragging on. But Skinner did have that jam thing going on, I guess.
Oh, Skinner's a great band. I think that song goes on forever.
Yeah,
I love Three Steps. And
that's great. Yeah, because that it's punchy, gets to the point, I guess. And I think that with some songs that just, I mean, I guess again, Rush can do. They could do whatever they want, and it's still Rush. Oh yeah, I think you were asking about that too. Oh wait, I don't know. That thing I plug, I reverse them all the time, and that's a bit of a swell.
Okay, so you do have a chorus.
Yeah.
Because one of your songs, I did notice it had a chorus on it. It's a Boss chorus pedal.
Yeah, well, and of course that is like all those things I was telling you about touring when I was a kid. That's the same one I had when I was a kid. It was probably like the second pedal I ever bought. Yeah.
Is this the chorus, like any pedal, any effects pedals these days are ridiculously expensive?
Yeah, I mean, some of these little, like, sort of knockoff ones, some of them are reasonable, but, I mean, those, yeah, they're not. This one here, I kind of use it with it, and it's I have no complaints about this Fender pedal. That's got reverb and tremolo.
I've seen that online. So that's a Treverb.
Yeah.
Treverb.
So what was it? Let's see if I can get this in a proper tuning. Half the warble you hear is the out of tune guitar, not the chorus.
Now the secret's out. That's another thing from songs from the 70s. Some of them are so horribly out of tune.
Yeah. Well, and there was a song, I can't remember what it was. I was learning a cover version of it, and it was not in tune. Like, it wasn't like tuned down or whatever. And like the guitars were in tune with themselves, but it was like they showed up and went, I don't know what, like, don't have a tuner. All right, give me an A. And it was like they tuned, and it wasn't.
Tom Petty, Mary Jane's Last Dance, it's out of tune.
It's not in, yeah.
Yeah, you listen to it live, it's in tune, but the record version, it's, because I had to learn it for my band, and it's a little bit off.
Yeah.
It's like somebody tuned it to 439 instead of 440 hertz. Yeah.
So it was probably a case of doing, just being out of tune, like not out of, but just being off a little flat, a little sharp, whatever, and then just tuning to each other and going, oh, good enough, we're all in tune. Sounds good, but it's not perfectly in tune. But sometimes, like when they're recording back in those days without digital, it's like, well, that was a good take. Like, we can't fix it, after. So, yeah, I think it was Spider Jewel, because I'm using both of those together.
Which ones are you using? So
how did that go?
You're using the Treverb,
the Treverb, and tremolo, and the chord.
Okay.
And that's where, and it kind of is inspired a little bit by. Yeah, I think like.
What a great version. That's Purple Rain, right?
Yeah. And that chord there, I find it funny because most people I see play it like that, and it's Wendy, right? Is a guitar player? Hope I get that right. Anyway, she's great, and I think she plays it with that. So I kind of, because there's probably two guitar players, or at least in the recording anyway, that, because you hear that extra, what is that? I don't know, there's my music theory. Is it 9? No. Whatever. Anyway, it's sounds cool. Yeah, it's kind of like that kind of thing. It sounds weird, this, like, with certain things but I do like that. I was doing a lot of, I don't want to say surf, but that's what my sort of genre of music kind of got dubbed into as spooky surf.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on your website.
And I love it because it's kind of like, it's a bit like surf, but, only if you're in danger of being consumed by a bull shark at any moment. It's kind of could go anywhere, feeding frenzy. So I kind of like that. It works. I would do that, but
you do the tapping.
What's that?
You do tapping?
A little bit, yeah. Well, that one is a little tap. That's usually what I do with my tapping thing, is just like the odd little adding a note somewhere. Never been as good as like a lot of people.
Eddie Van Halen's probably the most famous for doing it. He's not the first, but he's the most famous for
that. Exactly. And it's funny how people will say that, oh, he's not the first, and like he didn't even say he was the first. He's just, but he certainly put his own spin on it, like he did with everything. So, in fact, that album, my second album, was dedicated to his memory, because that came out like right after he passed.
That was a very sad day.
It was, yeah.
Same with the passing of Tom Petty, which was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that seemed horribly unfair. And for me, Prince was so many of them. When Jim Steinman and Meatloaf died too, those were, a downer. So many of them, and it just goes to show how important those people and their art was.
Yeah, how much of a part of your life they become.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're obviously very fast on the fretboard. What's your typical practice routine? How do you develop such dexterity in your fingers?
Honestly, I think it's just playing more than practicing, because I'm terrible at. I've even tried, like especially during the pandemic. Like there's always that period of time where you have a block of time that you didn't have before. And I even like made a little Word document. I'm going to work on these things that I want to improve on, and it never really worked. So I mean, it helps to have some accountability like that. Like I'm going to work on something, but most of the time it's just trying to write songs. And the fast stuff, I'm not really a shredder. I do some wacky things because it's kind of fun, but. Every time I record a guitar solo, I listen to it, like when I'm just trying something and I go, yeah, I need to cut out about 40% of the notes. It's like, where's the melody, right? And some people like Paul Gilbert or Eddie Van Halen, a lot of those guys, they played with an incredible speed and fire, but they never lost the melody or the composition,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because some guitar solos just sound like they're vomiting notes, and it doesn't make any sense to the song. It's just a bunch of random notes. It sounds so random to me. But you're with melodic soloing, like Jimmy Page, Blackmore, from Deep Purple. Yeah. Like you mentioned, Eddie Van Halen, they matched the song. The solos had something to do with the song. So.
Yeah. Well, even Malmsteen, who, like, I know he gets flack and stuff, but I mean, he's not my favorite, and I don't think I know how to play anything that he plays, but he really had an impact on the guitar world, and his lines, even though he's known for playing really fast, they still have a reason, a melodic reason. I mean, you can, and I don't know why guitar players get flack for playing fast, like, oh, you can't have any feeling if you're playing really fast, and to me, I think classical music always had fast music, violins and even country, fiddles and stuff. And that's
Roy Clark.
Yeah. Well, here's a weird thing that I only really thought about, later in life, is that when I was a kid, I listened to a lot of country music that I didn't know I listened to because I never liked country music, but I was watching Smokey and the Bandit and all these movies like that, and I'm like, man, Jerry Reed and Chet Atkins, I mean, these guys were like years ahead of, and then the crazy thing, and then I started doing like things like that where I have no idea where it came from. I never meant to be a hybrid picker, but, and then of course, even in like some metal stuff, like in Famous Underground that I play in Toronto, it was like a metal song that we're playing, and I'm just still doing like I can't do it now, but I'm like out of practice, but that kind of thing, and it's like, in the context of it, you don't really know what I'm doing or why, but it just sounds cool. And
well, I noticed in one of your videos, the one that you won an award for, the North American Best Music Video, I can't remember the name of the song.
Chakra.
Yeah, you're in a kind of a barn situation.
That's the one,
And I noticed you went into a little bit of a country picking and then back into your
I'm trying to think of which part that was. But very possible, that sounds like me.
But you mentioned John 5 before, who played a telly, and he's heavy, and I think that's all he played. I had never seen him play anything other.
No, that's...
But the first time I've seen a heavy metal or hard rock band play a Telecaster was, I saw Cinderella as the opening act for the Scorpions, and I was so surprised. We walked in just as they were doing the solo, and it sounded really good, but then I saw that the guitar player was playing a Telecaster, and I've always associated Telecaster to country. But Jimmy Page on his first album played mostly Telecaster.
Well, and Mick Mars, Mick Mars from Motley Crue played a Tele for, now I think most of his were Kramers, though.
Okay.
I could be wrong, I don't know, but he did play a Tele, and I'm sure he has Fenders as well. I mean, it's Mick Mars, he probably has like one of everything.
150. In one room.
In one room, Well, I heard that about John 5, that he has, I don't know if it's in his house or where it is, but he has a place with because he collects guitars, Tellies mostly. And
well, you were mentioning country acts. Brad Paisley's one of my favorite guitar players.
Brilliant,
famous.
Yeah, some of these guys. Yeah, some of those guys are just ripping. And
Vince Gill, he took over for Eagles.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Fry.
Really? Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know that. Wow. But I did know that Vince Gill was on an Alice Cooper record. Okay. Welcome to My Nightmare. So that it came out just, I don't know, I want to say a few years ago. It was probably like 10 now, but it seems like yesterday. But he played on that. And when you hear the song, you go, okay, that's not one of the normal guitar players because he's doing some crazy country picking and stuff. Yeah.
I noticed on your videos that you're playing several different guitars. I don't know if you're actually playing them, but it looks like you're playing them in the videos. So do you have a preference between a Les Paul or a Telecaster or Ibanez?
Well, that Telly is probably among my favorites for sure. And if you look at it, it's that road-worn, sparkly one. Has a mirror pickguard. Anybody who doesn't know, that's the secret is being revealed. It is actually a Brad Paisley signature model. I took the Paisley pickguard off and put the mirrored one on. Okay. And because the first time I saw that, I walked into Class Axe, which is a music store in Kempville. Great place, and I walk in and I see that hanging on the wall, and I'm like, look at that stupid thing. I honestly, I was laughing at it because it's just all sparkly, and I pick it up and it was really light, and I was like, wow, that feels really nice. It's like a big old cutting board, really thick neck. I started playing it, I'm like, this plays great. And then I single coils, I don't know how it's going to sound. I plugged it in, it sounds great. And then I was in Las Vegas, saw another one, picked it up, same exact thing, and I was like, oh, all right. Took me a few, like probably about 5 or 6 months, and I'm finally like, all right, take my money. I'm buying this guitar, and so those are that and the Les Paul. This particular one are among my favorites. I have a Dean Cadillac that I really like, and it's not even an American. It's like Indonesian or something, and it's still great. I love it. Yeah, you know what I should have brought? I should have brought this. I have a Prince Cloud guitar.
Oh, I've seen that. That's one of the ones I saw in the video. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, and it's a real, like it's not his, but it's made by Schecter. The same. It's a real, it's not a like cheap knockoff or something. They do a lot of metal guitars now, but it plays super nice. Feels really comfortable. Now, Prince was a small dude, so I'm like 5 feet tall. He was probably 2 inches taller than me. I don't know, but he was a small guy. So I'm sure that made to his specifications was that it wasn't going to be real bulky. This like feels nice, but they are heavy, and
that's what I don't like about Gibson Les Pauls. They're really heavy.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. The Telly's pretty light. They're balanced nice, which is good, because I played light guitars that aren't balanced very well, and you fight with them all night, and that's no fun either. But this one, honestly, the weight never bothered me. I kind of liked it. I like something to, hang on to and dig into. But at the same time, I had a car accident in like 2015 or something, and so my neck and shoulder and back get sore a little bit easy. So I try not to, when you're playing a long night with one of these,
it's a long night.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but tone-wise, is there a huge difference between one to the other?
Sometimes, I mean, you can do so much with your pedals and stuff and your amps, and when I'm recording, I usually go between those two guitars, the Les Paul and the Telly, most of the time. I'm trying to think that the what do you call it? The Ibanez that's in that video. I haven't used that in a recording yet. The flutter, it's got a whammy bar with a flutter, like you wouldn't believe that kind of, there's another word for that, but that's kind of gargle sound. And you just tap it and it does that. It sounds really cool.
Every time I think of Ibanez, automatically think of Joe Satriani.
Yeah, and Paul Gilbert, and
You talk about Malmsteen before, of fast players. Joe Satriani is one of the fastest I know of, and he's very melodic.
Yeah, and that's it. He doesn't have anything to prove, and he doesn't act like he does. He just plays, great guitar. And
I put him, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and Yngwie Malmsteen kind of in the same class.
Yeah, and of course Steve Vai is like, did you see that Teeth of the Hydra, is that what it's called, video?
No.
He's got like 3, it's more than 3, it has 3 necks, but he's also got this, yeah, you have to see it. I'll do no justice explaining it. But I remember seeing the video where he's playing all of these. Now, of course, it's a music video, but it looks like it's a one-shot like playthrough where he's playing all these instruments together at the same time with his composition. That's pretty complex. Leave it to Steve Vai. I remember complaining about it though because I was working on some music for my upcoming album, and then I'm like, I wonder what's on YouTube. I always do these little breaks, and there's Steve Vai, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not as clever as I thought I was. I was having a good night, and I sent it to my friend. I sent the video, and she sends me an email back going, well, he doesn't have any toads in his video, so
There you go.
Yeah, take him away. No toads. That's
I got a toad-shaped guitar.
yeah, that's what I need. Toads and more cats and critters in the videos. That'll win.